Hey guys, my name is Fayaz Rahimtullah, otherwise known as Mawe. I'm a producer and DJ based in Barcelona, and I have been producing for about 7 years now. What I used to produce is Ableton. It is my preferred software, my preferred DAW. And what I wanted to show you today is some basic things with Ableton, along with a couple of tricks. So what we're going to cover is a session and arrangement view, which is something I love about Ableton. It has both. We're going to cover the drum rack a little bit, how to put individual effects and panning inside the drum rack. Going to go into bassline, simple basslines, side chaining, pads, using different loops, and using gate ghosting using those loops. After that, we're going to go into grouping. All right, let's get started then. So the first thing we want to do is to go into the instruments, and over here you can see all the Ableton instruments. We're going to drag a drum rack just like that. And there you have the drum rack. Now, this is a session view. Once we're done with our session and we've created all our different clips, we then have the arrangement view, which is what we use to record. So back to the drum rack. I'm going to rename this as kick. Always rename. You just don't want your stuff to get messy. So now I'm going to go into my samples, go to kicks, and let's find some kicks that we like. So I like that one. Let's get another one. There we go. Next, if you double click the clip right here, it will create a clip. Now all these are the steps inside the clip. You can resize the clip using these arrows at the end. And you can also duplicate the clip like that. To undo anything, Command Z. Now let's start creating this groove. If you hit these headphones over here, you'll be able to listen to the samples that you've loaded in. These samples are also located right here in the drum rack. So going back to the clip, let's start making this groove. You hit play and it starts to move. So now, there we go, got a simple follow the flow, right? I want to duplicate that, and it's duplicated. Now let's add the other kick in there, just to add some flow. And it's that simple. So now I've used a drum rack to create a kick groove. Next, let's load up another one. This time we're going to go with hats. Rename, go to my samples, open up my hats. Now let's pick a couple we like from here. Quite like that one. Like that as well. So same as before, double click and we got the clip. Press play and let's listen to our samples. Let's draw that in. To draw in a clip, you can either double click or you can go to this pencil right here and just use it to click and draw. We're going to duplicate that and let's add some more things inside it. Using the pen, I can then just draw. Located down here, you notice you have all these markers. These markers are the velocity of each and every piece that you're putting in, each and every piece that you draw in. You can move them to reduce the velocity or to increase the velocity. So if I was to select this and move it down a little, let's move that down a little bit. That one. Just to give it a little bit of a swing, right? Cool. So now we have a pretty basic hi-hat loop. Let's move on to a snare. Rename. Snare or clap, whichever. I like to use claps, depending on the track, snares. drag that on. Again, the clip. Let's put it in. Now, if you want to edit any of these clips or anything that's happening in there, you can just select it, like I've selected this, and you can see the sample right here. So what I want to do right now is I want to shorten that sample a little bit. Just like so. So now we've got our hats, we've got our kick, we've got our clap. We can then start to add various different percussions, which is what we'll do. But what I want to show you here is how you can control these. So at the bottom here, this stops all clips, right? And now if I want to start any of them, I can hit the play, and there goes our hats. Put in the clap next. And then the kick. When you've also built up a bunch of different channels, you can then use the master over here to just play all at once. All right, next thing we're going to go to is let's do some percussions. So back to instruments, drum rack. Let's call these perks. That. You can also stop by pressing spacebar if you want to hear everything that you're listening to in terms of your sample. Let's take those for now. Again, I'll create my clip. Let's stop the kick, play with these percussions a little bit. Then you can duplicate and try and create a bit of variation so it's never too monotonous. Then with the kick. Always make sure you're watching your levels. You never want to be clipping. So whenever the master goes red, you know you're clipping. So it's better to reduce it down from Ableton, turn it up from your master, and make sure you have no clipping going on. All right, now we got that. So let's go into the individual things you can do to these drum racks. So let's go to our hats now. Stop everything, focus on our hats. As you can see, we've got these 3 hats going on, right? So inside these hats, you can open up the control, the chain controls. Now the chain controls allows you to individually control the panning and different effects that can happen within this. So let's move these hats a little bit to the left, put that to the right a little bit, maybe center down, there. It's kind of creating more space and dynamics. Now if we were to choose to add some effects to each individual one, we can go here, the audio effects. Let's grab a reverb. And you can select exactly which one you want to apply it to. So I want to apply it to this one that's happening right here. And you make sure you put it within the sample. So you put it inside here. If you were to put it here, it would basically be for all of them. It would be the whole rack. But we just want this one individual right there. There we go. And you can do this for each and every one as the way you like. Let's go to our percussions now. So we open this up, see our chain, and it can show you what's playing, as you can see what's playing right here. So let's try giving some wideness to this as well, right? some more here. And now let's hear everything together. All right. So that basically covers very simple forms of the drum rack. So using samples, how you can individually pan them, how you can individually control them. And what's also cool, which I'll show you a little trick right now, which is called the LFO. Now the LFO is something you can use to map to anything. Anything in Ableton can be mapped with an LFO. So let's bring that up right now. All right, so if I drag an LFO over here, right, and I choose to map whatever I want, maybe it's a transpose of this particular percussion. Solo this, so this one, right? I want to map the transpose, so map, and I can click anything, so I'm going to click the transpose. And then you can pick the amounts here. And there you go. So it's mapping that, it's moving the transpose as we want it to, and we're controlling the amount right at the top. So we can do the same thing with the hats. So I'm going to duplicate this again. Let's make a longer bit in the hats where we can really play with this. So I'm going to click it there. Let's go to an LFO. Right? Going to mark the transpose. Set it at 50%, which is where it was. And play with it. There we go. Cool, so that's a nifty little trick with the LFO. And remember, the LFO can be mapped to anything. Anything in Ableton that has a knob, you can map it to. Next thing let's go to is, let's look at a bass line. All right, let's look at a bass line and how we can use the bass line in Ableton 11. I'm going to show you a really cool thing, how you can always stay in scale. No matter what you're doing, you'll be in scale and you'll be in key. So I'm going to use a third-party plugin that I like to use by Rob Poppin, called Subboom Bass. Let's open that up. Let's pick a bass line. Right? So now when you open the clip, you notice over here on the left completely, you see something saying scale. When you click scale, it literally allows you to pick the key. So let's say D, and pick the scale. So let's say we want to be, there's all the different scales you can think of. Let's say we want to be in minor. Let's keep it like that. Now, as you notice, all the things that are highlighted are basically the notes that are in scale. So that's what you want to use. So let's start off with that. Take away the percussions so you can hear the bass. Now whenever you're using third-party plugins, you can open up here and click configure. Configure allows you to open up your plugin, and no matter what you touch, it will now be able to be run in Ableton. You can automate it in Ableton. So as you can see, the filter frequency is what I've chosen, and as I turn this up, Right, now they have a bass line. You want to worry about side chaining. Now side chaining is something that allows the bass line to duck, basically, when your kick is happening. So if you listen to the kick now, the bass isn't really coming through, is it? Let's turn this up. So what we do is we do something called ghost gating. Ghost gating is the way I like to do things, is where I take a drum rack, rename it Ghost, pick a sample, it doesn't really matter as long as it's got a similar waveform, and then you're going to mute it, right? I like to drag this all the way to the back, color it, and make it small. You're not really going to use it that much, so it doesn't really need to be that visible. But then what we do is we go to the bass, select an audio effect, and go to a compressor, right? You open up the compressor, click sidechain, and you send the signal from the ghost. So now the signal is coming in from the ghost. So what we want to do is now we want to take the threshold down. Sorry, we need to draw in the clips first, as before. There we go. There. Now we have a signal playing, and we go here, and now we can see that there is a signal coming in, and that is from the ghost kick. So as we take the threshold down, I want you to listen to the bass. I'm going to mute the kick and listen to this. So what's that doing? That's kind of giving us room for a kick. Now when I play the kick, see, they're not in the way of each other anymore, so you're kind of creating this ducking. You can use side chaining for everything. You can use it for pads, you can use it for vocals, you can use it for basses, but one thing always that's so important is to never have your kick and your bass clashing. So this is a very, very useful tool to make sure that's not happening. So now let's give it a listen with everything. Cool, that's sounding cool. All right, next thing I want to do is let's try and create some pads. Now the cool thing about Ableton, like I showed you, seeing as we've already picked our scale on the bass, we can see that we're in D minor, and it shows which ones are available. If we put any other clip in that's playing MIDI, it'll do the same thing. It'll show us what scale we're in, the same scale. So we can't really mess up, which is great. So I'm going to use another third-party plugin from UHE called Zebra 2. And going to pick a nice one that I like here. Right. And then we're going to start building some chords. So as we click play, let's pick our first note. Extend the notes this way, and duplicate again and again. Let's add another one up here. Alright, cool. So now we have this synth, very basic. Again, we can open up configure, and Let's turn this cutoff wheel a little bit, right? Now we have control here. And everything. As you can notice, things are a little bit messy still, right? So what do you want to do? Let's try sidechaining that synth a little bit, right? So let's go back. Play it. And we'll play the ghost. Audio effects. Drop a compressor in there. Route it to the ghost and take down the threshold. Let's see how that sounds now. So now as you're structuring this, you can start to develop your clips, and you can do this going downwards. So let's say now I just want the ghost should just be duplicated all the way because you're always going to use it. So let's say the next line I'm going to put the kick and the synth on its own, right? So let's play that. And then let's say the one after that we want to bring in the hats. So let's maybe copy the hats over there. After that, maybe we take a break from the kick, throw in all the percussions, like this. And then we want everything in together at this drop with the bass line. Right, this is going to come in handy later when I'm showing you how we're going to convert this into an arrangement mode. So now the next thing we can do is using loops. Now you can get various different loops, and this is, you can add a lot of character, a lot of things to the track, but also you can use it as in a creative way, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So let's take a couple of loops and let's, beef this up a little bit. So let's get some hi-hat loops in there. Kick. Let's play with this new hat. And let's drop another one in there. Now, once you're adding different loops and stuff, what you can do is you can do it creatively. And how we do that is, let's say we take the zebra right here, and let's play that on its own, the synth. Right? Let's play with the ghost, so we have that sidechain going through. Right? And now, we can take any of these loops that we're using, and we can ghost it. Or we can take a loop that you're not even going to hear, and use it creatively in this way. Let's pick this loop, for example. Right here, so this one, right? Now, I could mute that, rename this as a gate ghost, then I go to my audio effects, apply a gate to the synth, like so. And if I open it and I click sidechain and I send it through to that gate ghost, and then you lower the threshold, and that's how I can use it creatively. Cool. And then we could have two, so we could duplicate that synth that we have, and let's remove the gate from one, and let's have a gate on the other. So now we can balance these out. Cool. The next thing we want to look at is grouping. So now I see I have these two synths, right? And they're the same sound, but one of them is processed, one of them isn't. So what you do is you can select both, Command G, and now put it in a group. Now you can rename that group as synth. Boom. And the synth is grouped. Now, what's the point of grouping? You can then process things together inside this synth, for example, effects or compression or equalization, and you can do them all in the same group. You can also launch the group on its own, as so. So it's one instrument. And because we're using the gate ghost, we can also drag the gate ghost inside it, if we like, inside that group, so that all of them can play together. And so that's a group. Next, let's group these two as our loops, our top loops. Boom. And then we can take our other percussions, like that, and group those. Perk. And boom. And things become a lot neater, don't they, when you do this? And that's grouping. Now, what else I want to cover is now how do we take what we've done here, all these ideas, and put them into an arrangement view. So what we want to do is, first of all, let's do some panning. So panning is basically shifting things left and right with the speaker. So as we play the track, let's solo our percussion group, and all of these are inside the group. So let's maybe move the clap a little bit, hats a little bit. There we go. Then inside our group for our synth, you can also pan those a little wider. There we go. All right. Once you've done some panning, you have kind of a space of what's going on. What I want to do now is I want to record this onto arrangement view. So to kind of create the basis of our track. We have a few ideas here. So let's try and put it on arrangement view, right? So how we're going to do that is you hit stop, switch over to arrangement view, and let's pick a starting point, right? Where we're going to start recording. Now, I've stopped everything and we arranged it the way you want to from this point on. So we're going to hit record, and then I'm going to start it from there. So you hit the master play. next segment. As we're doing it, it's recording it live into arrangement view, exactly how we're doing it. And then the last segment. Then we can start to remove things live if you want to, as we're jamming with it. So let's try and remove the percussions here on this next drop here. And next, remove the kick. Bring it all back again. Alright, so that's what we recorded, and as you can see, if you click this one up here, this is now our recording, exactly how we recorded it. So we hit play. Everything was done exactly how we did it, according to the segments. It's all been recorded just that way. And now that we have it all over here, and we can see everything over here, now the fun begins. Now is where we can start to arrange things, and now is where we can start to automate. So let's get into some of that, shall we? So as you can see, we have the zebra here, which is playing. With the gate, sorry. Oops. Yeah, here's our zebra. There you go. Now I want to automate this, so it kind of like builds up to that point. So I'm going to right click here, show automation, and you can see this opens up right here. And this kind of shows the automation that we mapped to earlier with the cutoff. So let's kind of raise it from nothing all the way up to that point. And let's see how that sounds. We can even take it up right before and bring it back down. So let's see how that sounds. With everything. Right. And there you have it. So that's automation. Automation can also be applied to every single thing that you have in Ableton. You could right click anything and show automation as long as it has a knob or a control. If you're using third-party things, just remember, configure, touch it what you want to touch, move it, and it will give you an option to then be able to automate after. It'll appear right here on the list, and then you can right click and automate that. So there you have it. That's very basics on Ableton, and there's so much more to dive into. There's so much more to experiment to. Unfortunately, I do not have any more time for that. I just wanted to show you a little bit and a little quick example on what we can do with Ableton. But there's a lot more steps, there's a lot more things we can get into. But I encourage you to try out these things, try out Ableton, try out automation, try out all these little tricks and tips and the structures that I've shown you. And I hope you've enjoyed this. And like I said, my name is Fayaz Rahimtullah, otherwise known as Mawe. And hope to do this again soon for a little bit more. Thanks, guys. Also, guys, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask on the comment section and we'll be sure to answer you. Thank you so much for your attention and hope to see you soon.